This week on the Weekly Reid,
Black women in media.
My friend, she was diagnosed with cancer. I would say colorism is a big thing too. I think one of the bigger things I've had to face is definitely hair.
Welcome to the Weekly Reid, a place where you can be your authentic self 100% of the time without worrying about judgment at all. Hi, my name is Danaé Reid, and this is my first show, and I'm so excited, as you might be able to tell. This is a place where we can continue to learn and grow together. And as I'm really just starting in the media field, I am so honored to share this space with an amazing woman who's already doing amazing things in media. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Sunny Morgan.
My name is Sunny Morgan. I'm a student journalist at Washington University. I'm a senior studying journalism, and I'm graduating next May, which is very scary, but I'm very interested in media and journalism and all. I like community relations journalism, I like investigative journalism a little bit, and yeah, that's what I'm into.
Okay, so just to give like a little bit of disclosure, the reason that I invited you here was to talk about Black women in media, and we're going to get into that, but first I want you to tell everybody why you got into journalism in the first place.
Sure. So I think one of the big things that got me into journalism was in high school. I was a morning announcements anchor, so a lot of people would like kind of like try to bully me for it, but it was kind of lit because people know my name. Like all 4 years I did the morning announcements, so it was kind of lit for people to like know who I was and listen to me every morning. And also I worked for the school newspaper, and one of my like very first articles was about my friend. She was diagnosed with cancer, I think our sophomore year, and not a lot of people knew about it. So I think we wrote an article about it just to shine light on, her and why she was going out of school for so long. And yeah, it was kind of like a big like response from like the school community. It was a beautiful article, or like we didn't know that about her. So it was a beautifully written article. And I think that just listening to the feedback from people really like, was like, wow, I can really write. I can really do this for real. So yeah.
Right. And if you don't mind me asking, how's your friend doing?
Oh, she's good. She's 4 or 5 years out of remission. I'm not sure, but she's healthy. She's good.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. So as I mentioned to you, we're going to talk about Black women in media and how that affects you as a Black woman. But my first question to you is, what do you think that the biggest plight for Black women is right now in media and in general?
I think that, I guess two of the bigger ones is just being Black and being a woman. I feel like white women have to deal with, I guess, being a woman, but not as much as, Black women being Black, and just having that stigma, or not a stigma, but like just having that, double whammy against them in like newsrooms or in, spaces of media. And also, I would say colorism is a big thing too. A lot of people, I guess, like reading comments from like the news or reading stuff online, like people would favor light-skinned anchors or reporters over dark-skinned anchors or reporters. It's kind of discouraging for a lot of people who want to go into media and, have to deal with that sort of thing.
Right. So what's that like as a darker-skinned woman?
It's sort of discouraging, but also sort of empowering because, I would rather want people to focus on, the stories that I tell and the things that I have to say rather than my skin tone. And although they're obviously going to focus on that, I think I have a bigger responsibility to rise up to that challenge and be more, aware of the stories I tell and make sure it's powerful so people don't have to say things about how I look, but rather like the things that I talk about and the stories that I tell.
Right. So do you feel like you've experienced that at all yet?
Not yet, but I think one of the bigger things I've had to face is definitely hair and how Black women change their hair a lot. I'm a junior reporter at Fox 29 in Philadelphia, and one of the bigger things I've ever had to worry about was coming in one day with braids and the next day coming with weave. It's kind of, no one said anything about it, but I feel very judged or very she had long hair, but now she has short hair today. I don't know. So I think tackling that issue is a big deal. I don't want my career to have to go down a path where I have to wear a bob for 20 years. I just want to be able to be versatile, but also still remain the same journalist as I am.
And I haven't worked in a news station yet, but I have experienced that in corporate America as well. I feel like every time I change my hair, it's they feel like they need to say something about it.
They really don't.
And I'm just okay, I got a fro today. I remember I had taken my braids out and I had let my fro just be what it was. And I feel like every time I have my hair like that, white people tell me that they prefer my hair like that. And I'm I didn't ask you for your preference. And if that was supposed to be a compliment, it really wasn't. I was very offended. And stuff like that used to happen all the time. But they don't see anything wrong with it. But
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm interning at NBC right now this summer, and like I had like my real hair out all summer. Like I had it's a bob. It's in the bob. Like that's how long it is. So I'm kind of like scared to go with like my weave like this week, but we'll see. It's probably last week.
We'll see. Right. Okay, so my next question is, being a woman in media, we are expected to carry ourselves in a certain manner, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes. How does that make you feel?
I feel like we're being analyzed way too much. Like I feel like people who aren't this like looked at that hard. It makes me feel kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say bad, but it's annoying, you know, just to have to be looked at a close lens all the time. Like, oh, like that black girl on TV is like doing this out there after she gets off of work. Like, I don't know, I just think it's corny. And I also just think that, you know, I don't know, it's hard because we're never going to be treated equal, I feel like. One day maybe, but I mean, I don't know, anytime soon. But I just feel like if you should give the same kind of treatment you're giving like any other type of person in newsrooms or like in media or on TV. Like, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of funny. That's all I have to say. Like,
yeah, I definitely agree. And then we just talked about like the intersectionality of being like a black and being a woman, and I think that makes it a lot harder too. Everybody's like looking at you with like this crazy scope, and it's like something that you can never get out of because you never know who's gonna see you and who knows who.
You gotta really prove yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Way harder than anybody else has to.
Yeah. So, on a more positive note, so this has been a very big week for Black women. Beyonce was on Vogue, and Rihanna's also on Vogue, but I think in another country. And Issa Rae, I think she was on Ebony.
Yeah.
Lupita was also on a cover. So moments like that, like what do moments of triumph make you feel like? How do you feel when you see images like that?
Represented. I just feel like I saw like a post on somebody's Instagram where like there were all these covers this week or in the past 2 weeks of Black women on these magazine covers, like these really high respected covers, and I just feel like representation is really hard to come by sometimes. So like just to have that moment and have that feeling is really like special. Also, even like in newsrooms too, like when I see like that Black girl anchor, I'm like, oh yeah, like you do your thing, because there's so many white girls in the newsroom. It's just like, you know, it feels good to, you know, have that connection with Black women.
Right. And I feel like it's really unfortunate because though like those things are happening more often, I feel like Black women are starting to tear each other down more in that sense. Like just to give an example, like the covers that I've seen that have come out, like specifically Rihanna, people were picking at her for like her eyebrows, or like people were saying that Beyonce looked too like boring, too bland in her magazine cover. Obviously, she looked amazing. They both did, but it's just really unfortunate that now we're also our own enemies just as much as the other. Yeah. So, what have you noticed that at all?
I honestly have. I mean, even like now, like there are like girls like in the, I don't know, like there's Black girls who also intern in different places, and they're just like, oh, like there's like always like some sort of competition. There's always some sort of thing like there's some like we're competing with each other. We don't have to do that. Like it's not always a competition. And I feel like it's corny that we have to, you know, compete to get ahead. Like we can all get ahead together. Yeah. I don't know. It's really corny. I have experienced that like with, you know, other Black women who are either in student journalism or like out there at other schools doing it. It's just like, why are we competing? We could just like help each other and like help each other climb the ladder, you know?
Right. And I think a huge part of that has to do with everybody telling Black women that there's only room for so many of us. And I think that's a huge issue. I think that's a narrative that we need to stop spreading because there is room for everybody.
Gotta work for it.
Right. But I feel like we've been in the same position for so long that people in turn are negative, but then they wonder why that nobody's in the positions that they want to be in. So, do you think that people, regardless of race or gender, have a hard time getting or retaining news and information from Black women as an anchor?
I think it depends on the market that they're in, and also what kind of like who they are. Because it doesn't matter to me. I can get the information I want like from anybody, you know. But I do experience a lot of viewers who view Black women on TV will like call in stations and be like, oh, like, why is her hair like that today? Or like, why?
Really?
I work the desk at NBC a lot when I'm interning, so they're like, people really call and like critique people's looks and like just why is she wearing that? Like why? Not even just with Black women, but like I've experienced it a lot with Black women on TV, but you know, just know how to explain. Like, it's just weird. Like, why does that matter?
Yeah.
You know?
And knowing that, since you work at the desk, having that experience with those types of people, and knowing that you want to be an anchor, like, is that something you're nervous about?
Definitely. I'm not a person that takes. Well, I'm trying to have thicker skin, but I'm not a person that takes like stuff lightly.
Right.
I always have to clap back, but I'm just trying to learn how to like clap back in ways that are like, you know, I guess teaching or like classy, and like that can teach people like, okay, like you don't have to be like hateful and like match their energy to be like, you know, classier. I don't know, like just to clap back in better ways, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But,
and what's the hardest thing about what you do, would you say?
Just seeing other people get ahead faster. Like I made friends with like a white girl at my internship. We're like really cool, but like people like receive her better and like they like talk to her more. Like I guess like people who are like white that work in the workplace as opposed to like other like people who aren't white. I don't know. It's weird because a lot of people who are white, you know, they'll like say hi to me and that's it. Or, you know, like if I want something, if I need help, like I don't know, it's just weird. And like receive her better and it's kind of like hurtful, but also just like strengthening in a way because like I have to work for it for real.
Yeah.
Nobody's really like willing to help as much as they'll help somebody else. So
wow, and you noticed that like as an intern.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Wow. Well, so we've all come adversity. Tell us about your lowest moment and how you've recovered.
Wow.
And it can be in your internship in school period. It doesn't have to be super deep if you.
Okay. Well, I mean, this summer was honestly just hard in general. I mean, there were days where I would wake up and like not even want to go to my internship because I just like didn't feel like I was good enough or just didn't feel like I belonged. I don't know. I think like at my internship, like it's kind of like we're just sitting there. Like I answer phones. Like I'll go recorder sometimes, but like it's not all the time. So mostly I'm like in there, and it kind of made me sick because like why am I like just sitting here? Like, I'm better than that.
Yeah.
And I like called my cousin one day. I was like crying. I don't want to go. Like I'm pissed off. Like they really don't let me do anything. I was just kind of really mad. Didn't want to go. Like I was already like I didn't go the day before, so I was kind of like about to just chalk it all together. And she was just like, you gotta like, there's some people who just sit there. Like you have to like build your way up. You have to like, like that's like that's the starting point. Like in 5 years, who knows where you'll be at? But I mean, she was right, you know. But it was just hard to like swallow, and still hard today. Like it's corny feeling like having anything for us to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just working from the very bottom was like really hard for me to like swallow and accept because like I feel like I'm like very talented and.
Yeah.
I don't really deserve to be put like all at the bottom. So
it
was kind of hard to accept, I think.
No, I could see that. So have you thought about starting anything on your own?
Yeah, I'm trying to do YouTube more. I'm definitely trying to like get into YouTube before I graduate. But
you should.
Yeah, I think so too. But also I still have the junior reporter gig at Fox, so just trying to like hone in on my craft more and like work towards, you know, doing better stories and like building, you know, a better craft and all that stuff. So hopefully this fall will be like a better outlook. But yeah, summer was hard. I feel like it was hard for a lot of people though.
Yeah, well,
for some reason, I don't know.
I don't know how like into like planets and stuff you are, but like we've been in multiple retrogrades this summer, and that's like when like I'm not even gonna get into all that. But basically,
I'm trying to learn, so like
no, well we'll talk after.
Okay.
But basically, a lot of people have been having weird summers, so it's not just you.
Okay.
But well, thank you for sharing because honestly, like I feel like me and even other people look at you and we're just like, wow, we're not doing anything with our lives.
Oh my god.
Like this and that and like all that. No, I swear to God, I've looked at you multiple times and I'm like, I just wasted my whole life at Westchester. And like Sunny is really killing it. So
thank you though.
I'm not saying it makes me feel
But you be killing it too, like.
Oh my god, thank you. I'm not saying that. I wasn't trying to say like it makes me feel sad that you're doing well. I'm just like, it just makes me, I feel like people like you make like others who kind of aren't necessarily there yet, it makes us look at ourselves like, well, what can we do better? What can we look at do differently? So whenever you're having a hard day, just remember that because I've talked to multiple people who feel that way. So you're really doing great things.
Thank you.
Well, that was the last thing I had. Did you have any questions or anything? Or Not questions, I guess. It would be more so advice.
More comments. Or advice. I had to give advice to people who are, I guess, trying to get into media.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, I guess, little girls of color.
I don't know. Just believe in that and know that you can do anything you want. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what you think people will say. Like, just do it for you. Like, that's one of the big things. Just do it for you, not nobody else. Because if you do it for other people, it's not going to feel as good. And it's not going to push you. Like, you got to, like, know, like, this is where I want to be in, like, 5 years. So I got to work this hard to get there for myself.
And how do you feel like you were able to develop that mindset? Because that takes a lot of people a long time to get to. I don't know. It's personal, but I just felt like, you know, in my life, I just felt like really alone. Like there's nobody like, there's not a lot of people in my corner saying, "Oh, Sunny, we're so proud of you." Even though like there might be, I just don't feel it, you know. Yeah. So I just think just making myself proud and doing it for myself, you know, is probably the biggest thing. So I don't think I have like, that great of a support system. So just to support you. Thank you. But I mean, just pushing myself has probably like been like one of the greatest things I've learned to do, I guess. So just always do it for yourself, not nobody else. Right. That's a good ending. Well, yes, thank you so much for coming on my show. You're welcome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into my first episode. We'll be back next week with a completely different outlook. So thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you, Sunny, for being my first guest ever. You were I don't know if you know this, but you were my last guest too. Like on my radio show, you weren't supposed.
You did tell me.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to be, but then the studio got really messed up. So you were my last and my first. So
your last interview in college is crazy.
Yeah, so we're here. Thank you so much for coming, and thanks
for inviting me.
No problem. And thank you guys for watching, and I will be back next week.